Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the March installment of the Image Wellness series brought to you by the Image Center for People with Disabilities. Thank you to those of you who have been longtime supporters of these events since we started them back in December in our public health program. This initiative sponsored by the Image Center for People with Disabilities, a center for independent living, which is based in Towson, Maryland. It has a wide variety of programs that serve people with disabilities, programs ranging from assistive technology to accessible housing services to services supporting blind and low vision students and their families, which is the other program that I'm involved in when I'm not doing these events, and much, much more. So if you want to learn more about our Center for Independent Living, you can go to imagemd.org. For those who don't know me, my name is Chris Nussbaum, and I serve as the project coordinator for our Bridges program and also a social support specialist for the Public Health Services program, which is the program that is putting together this Image Wellness series. So far, we've done some programs around mental health and exercise and vaccines. And this year we're going to, or this month rather, we're going to take the topics that we've had so far and switch over to talking about the rest of what our body needs, and that is nutrition. And that's why we're calling this Wellness Without Limits. Nutrition is for everyone. Nutrition is applicable to everybody, regardless of the situations that we find ourselves in, whether it's our disabilities, whether our accessibility needs, whatever. So we have to talk about those things to people who are passionate about helping us to learn how to fuel our bodies right. And they're going to be talking with us about what they do and get our questions answered. This is, as I mentioned, as people were coming in, being also broadcast on our Facebook page. So if you have questions as the presentations go on, please unmute yourselves. And when you do that, please say your name for the benefit of those who aren't here, so we can just put a voice to the person or a name to the voice asking the question. So Kiana Mayo is also here. She's my colleague on the public health program. If you're here and ready to introduce our first speaker, great. If not, I'll turn it over to Susan to do it. Kiana, can you introduce Denise? Okay, Susan.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I would like to introduce Denise. And I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing this correctly. The last name is spelled Lichaa. So Denise Lichaa or Lichaa?
Yeah.
Like super. Is it Lichaa or Lichaa?
Lichaa.
Lichaa. Okay.
Thank you, Denise. Denise has been a registered dietitian for over 20 years and has spent the majority of her time working at the University of Maryland Rehabilitation and Orthopedic Institute. Some of you may know it as Kernan. She loves to eat and enjoys sharing her passion for food with others. To quote Denise, food is love, and spreading the love of the best nutrition to fuel our bodies.
Whoops, we lost Susan. In any case,
hello, hi, I'm Tioke Hassan.
Is important
hi.
to help us feel great as we continue to age.
Are you familiar with?
So
Everything okay? Hello?
Uh-oh. Did we? I think we
Don't lose.
lost Chris.
Did lose Chris.
Oh no. I'm gonna wait for him to try and join again. But Denise, if you actually it looks like the recording stopped. So I'm so sorry, everyone. If you wouldn't mind waiting just a moment to see if Chris hops back on and then we can get the recording. Oh,
Susan,
here he is.
can you give me a hand on how to get my PowerPoint showing on here? Because I'm looking for an icon to show my screen and I'm not finding it. Do you know where it might be?
Yeah, I think we'll need to make you a host.
Oh, got
Let
it.
me do
Cool.
that.
Thank you.
I'm gonna
I'm a little better at WebEx than I am at Zoom.
actually, Chris, I think you as full host can only make co-host. So if you want to make Denise a co-host, she'll be able to share her screen.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
What do
I
I need?
checked,
What were
Chris
you
should be
asking me to
coming.
do?
There he
What,
is.
what were you asking me to do, Susan?
Sorry, if you could make Denise a co-host.
Oh, all right. She
So
was, but
I'm just trying to share my screen and I'm looking for the icon to do it and I'm not seeing it.
should be able to, but we'll make sure.
Hello, Denise.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm Chioke Hassan. I'm from Shepherd Pratt. And are you familiar with the what's that place? People on the Go, Maryland?
I am not.
Yes.
I will have to look that
Associated
up.
with. Look them up when you get a chance.
I
Real
will,
nice
thank
people.
you.
Are you familiar with Melody Burdick?
Mm-mm.
Giant Food. Look her up.
Okay, thank you.
She's a nutritionist. Yeah.
All right, well,
Where'd she
today
go?
is Dietitian's Day, so give it a shout out to your fellow dietitians.
Oh, there she is.
Mm. Then I sent her also the link for this
All right, try now.
call.
All right. I am looking for it. Is it somewhere in particular that I need to find it? I just clicked on the three buttons and I'm not seeing an option to share my screen.
Try hitting the keystroke Alt S.
All right, thank you. Yes. There we go. Thank you so much. That is exactly what I needed. Can you see that?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, Denise, we can see it. Thank you.
Perfect.
And Chris, real fast, if you wanted to restart recording.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
All right, so we are going to talk about nutrition for a healthier you. So one of my favorite diets, which is the number one, and I hate the word diet, but we're going to use it because that's what we're all familiar with, is the number one diet for the past 7 years. And I want you don't have to say it out loud, but think about what may have been at the top of the list. It is the Mediterranean diet. This diet has been around for over 25 years. They've done several variations of it, but the majority of what I'm going to talk about are the basics of the Mediterranean diet. It's the number one studied diet for brain and heart health, and it's really what we want people to try to follow. And there's several ways to do it. You don't have to use every component, but there are some tips in here that are really, really helpful. There's a couple of different pyramid versions of this. As you can see in this slide right here, the bottom is really activity of whatever kind you can do, whether it's chair yoga or whatever your abilities are. You're trying to find something you enjoy. There's a lot of like seated Tai Chi things that can be done, anything for your mind and body for good health. You'll notice the bottom of this, the old style pyramid had grains on the bottom. The bottom of this particular Mediterranean period is really lots of veggies. We don't get enough non-starchy vegetables in our diet, so that's what this main sector is. And then you want your fruit. Going up the ladder, you're going to fish and seafood as your primary protein sources, some poultry, eggs, cheese, and yogurt, and then your red meat and sweet should be less often. Alcohol used to be one of those things that we thought was good for us, but as time went on, we have learned that it is actually like poison to the brain. So I don't recommend alcohol. If you want to drink, I recommend talking to your doctor first. So it's just one of those things that we learned that some of the alcohol industries actually were the ones paying for those studies that found that. So what are the benefits of following a Mediterranean diet? You're effective in reducing cardiovascular risk. So you really want that heart to be healthy. It's potential to decrease inflammation of the body. It can help with blood sugar control, positive effects on your brain function. What you put into your stomach will actually affect what goes on in your brain. And it'll help create a diverse gut microbiome, which is the new trendy talk that we all know about. It's all the diversity of good stuff that happens in your stomach that relates to the rest of your body. So here's another sort of form of the plate that I like to look at. So you notice that fruits and vegetables take up half the plate. In the American diet, we're really used to looking at protein and meat as being the big portion, right? We have these 24-ounce steaks, or, the bigger the better. We really want to flip it and make your fruits and vegetables the star of your plate. A portion of whole grains, and I'll get into what those are, and healthy proteins, water as your primary beverage source. Oils like extra virgin olive oil can help reduce inflammation and be good for your arteries. And of course, there's that little stay active again. So what's a non-starchy vegetable? Everything your mother told you needed to finish on your plate that you may not have wanted to as a kid. So broccoli, cauliflower, green beans, lettuce, tomato, cucumbers. It doesn't really matter if it's cooked, raw, even if it's in a can, if it has some added salt, you can rinse it off. The goal is to just get more of it. I'm often asked, does it have to be fresh? Is it frozen? What's the best kind? Again, if it's frozen, you can think about it this way. It was picked at the time of the perfect ripeness, flash frozen, which stopped the degradation process. Sometimes with fresh vegetables, they may have been sitting in that grocery store for quite a while, and some of that nutrition has been leached out of it. But when you buy something frozen, it has stopped that degradation process until you go ahead and cook it. So sometimes the frozen might even be a little better than the fresh, depending on how recently you got it. Look for what's on sale, stock up on frozen. Even canned vegetables can be fine. Just like I said, rinse them off if they have some extra added salt, because we're really trying to keep that salt intake a little bit less. Half of your plate filled with this is what our goal is. Fruit. A serving of fruit is really not that big. It's a small apple the size of a baseball. It could be 12 grapes. It could be half of an grapefruit. Just depends on what your preference is. You just want to work that in. Eating the actual fruit is always going to be a little better than drinking the juice, because you're getting the fiber and the vitamins and minerals in their natural state, versus when you get your fruit juice, they've sort of taken it, ripped out all of the ingredients, gotten the juice out of it, and then added back in some vitamins, but you miss the fiber piece. That fiber that's found in those fruits and vegetables act as a prebiotic in your digestive system, creating a good environment for good bacteria to live. And that's what we want. So you may have heard of, like, when you take antibiotics, it kills off the good and the bad bacteria. Prebiotics are what the good bacteria feed on. So you really want that in your digestive system. Protein sources. They really have found that eating non-meat sources of protein can be really beneficial for us. Beans, legumes, soybeans. It's not that you shouldn't eat any meat. It's just that getting more of these plant proteins are sort of a little more beneficial and can be a lot less expensive than buying meat in the grocery stores. But if you do choose meat, fish, poultry, eggs, dairy, these are all good choices. And eating red meat once or twice a week is fine. Trying to like just limit those highly salty meats like bacon, sausage, hot dogs. I will never tell anybody to never eat these things, because if this is going to be a lifestyle, you really want it to be something that works for you. And so you have to have an area where you can like, hey, it's my birthday and I feel like something special. This is it. So enjoy it. Don't feel bad about it. Food is something that nourishes you, makes you feel good, and gives you the energy to get through each day. Whole grains. So a whole grain is something like 100% whole wheat bread, not the cracked wheat or the white or the like honey wheat. You want 100% whole wheat bread. Oatmeal is an excellent whole grain, brown rice, whole wheat pasta. Just look for the whole grains and read the ingredients. The further up in the ingredients that something is, the more it has of it. So if it says whole grain first, or maybe it's the second ingredient, you're on the right path. But if it's towards the end, it's going to have just a little bit of it in it. It's not really what you're looking for. Really good fats in your diet are super helpful for keeping you full, and they are just good for your body. So nut butters, extra virgin olive oil, and avocado, even olives. Small amounts of butter are fine. You need that flavor to go a long way. So just looking into adding some of these healthy fats. Nuts, a serving of nuts is really a quarter cup. So it's not much. And again, trying to keep in mind, the best thing to do is to make that so that it's lower in salt. So you can add seasonings that are unsalted to those nuts and do them yourself. That's another way to get some flavor in there. And then, like I've been talking about, use herbs and spices instead of salt. So if you find garlic salt, pass that over and look for the garlic powder. Adding fresh, if you do a fresh herb, you want to put it in the pan and get it a little bit toasted first. It will bring the aroma out of those herbs a little bit, and then you can add them to your foods. And hydration options. So there are all those lovely flavored waters and all these things you can buy in the stores, but you can always make them yourself. And there's a whole, I'm a fan of Pinterest, and I can go on there and find some good like recipes for adding herbs and fruit to the water. I went to a hotel, and they had in the lobby strawberry and mint water, and it was delicious. And I was like, this is lovely. And I went home and I made some and infused it in a big thing. So this is another way you can eat the fruit after. And that's really all I have on kind of following that Mediterranean diet. So whether you pick one or two things from this talk that you can incorporate into your body to make you feel good and run better, then there you go. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to turn this back over.
All right. Thank you, Denise. And forgive me if I'm a little distracted, everybody. I'm still recovering from the biggest scare I've ever had in 5 years of hosting Zoom calls. So any questions for Denise?
Hello,
Hello, who's this?
this is Chioke Hassan. I'm from
Yes.
Image, not an Image Center, from People on the Go and Shepherd Fred. Denise, so can you like send this presentation to my email or to our emails? And where are you? And you're with where are you with a nutritionist? Where?
I work at the University of Maryland Rehab and Orthopedic Institute, and I can send this to Chris, and maybe you can you send it out, Chris?
Yeah.
Can I send? Let me send this in my chat. My
Yeah.
Email address.
What we'll do as a reminder, so So, as a reminder to everybody, what we'll do is we'll put a recap of the event on our blog
You know,
with both the recording of this and the presentations. And we'll send that out to everybody who has registered. So you'll get it. Anybody else? All right, very good. Well, I have the pleasure next of introducing somebody that I know pretty well. If you read the flyer for this event, you saw that the journey of our health coach here started when her family lost a combined 282 pounds, with her losing 95 pounds of that weight. What we didn't include in the flyer was that I'm part of that family. So I have the pleasure of introducing my mom as part of this presentation. In 2020, we all embarked on a health journey, my mom, my stepdad, and me, with her in the lead as all of our health coach. And ever since, I have had the great privilege of watching her inspire so many people to reach their goals and change their lives. So I'm so excited to introduce to all of you to share her story and some health tips and whatever she'd like to share, my mom and my health coach, Wendy Messersmith.
Hi, everybody. Well, thank you, Christopher. Um, it's been fun to listen to Denise's too, because I think we're gonna have a lot of nutrition's nutrition, and it's sort of the same across the board. And as sad as it is, so much of out there, and Denise, I also am not a fan of the word diet, because it sort of is very limiting. But I don't know that totally what society is teaching us is always the best thing either. So, Chris gave a quick lowdown. I will give you a quick synopsis of my personal story. Back in 2020, I had a surgery early on that ended up landing me in the hospital with blood clots that made me realize how quickly my life could change. All of that had nothing to do with my weight, but it made me realize that things could change very quickly. At that moment in time, I was a type 2 diabetic on blood pressure meds. As Chris said, I went on to lose 95 pounds. And by changing how I was eating and giving my body the right nutrition, I was able to get off my diabetic meds in 5 weeks. And in 7 weeks, I was off my blood pressure meds. And at the 3-month mark, when they checked my A1C, it was back to normal. So I will tell you that by changing how we eat is huge. Okay. And very much everything, I will echo everything that Denise says. It's, our proteins, our fruits, it's our veggies, it is those things, but it's eating it in the right amounts. And one of the big things I found, guys, like we said, there's diets out there, there's all kinds of things out there, there's intermittent fasting, there's all of these things, but the body was designed honestly to be fed small meals throughout the day, meaning around 6 times a day. So I literally eat 6 times a day. Small meals with the appropriate amount of proteins, vegetables, fruits, things like that. Most of us are not eating enough. Society has taught us to work out more and eat less. And all we're really doing is putting our bodies in a form of starvation mode, where when we eat, the body actually takes what you have fed it, stores it as fat, because it is the fastest thing that the body can go after to survive when it truly is starving. Okay. So there's a lot of ways to do this with, the, like I said, the right amount of proteins. Most of us, and I agree, if my plate lays out, Denise, it looks exactly like you say, but I find that when I look at others' plates, we're going like so tiny in the amount of proteins that we're eating. And protein is huge. It is what your body needs. Same foot that landed me in the hospital with the blood clots was still having problems just this past few months. And I landed back in physical therapy for a little while. And even with minor manipulation and doing, some of the exercises, they were releasing muscles that hadn't been used in 4 years. And just that little bit of stuff required me changing up and adding in some of my proteins and stuff like that in order to keep going, because I was starving, and I shouldn't be. You honestly should never be hungry. So I was not as organized and all of that with a big presentation at all, because it's just not sort of how I operate. I tend to like to, kind of answer questions and sort of share what I've done. I've been doing this for about 4 years. The company that I am partnered with has been around for over 20 years. I'm partnered with Optavia, which is one of the #1 nutrition health and wellness companies out there right now. So, Chris, I really honestly am happy just to sort of answer questions if people have questions.
All right, Kiana has raised her hand. Go ahead, Kiana.
Yes. Hello, everyone. So I know I finally made it home. But like for the busy person, like really on the go, because we're all busy, like where do you start? Because my doctor told me once that I don't lose weight because my body is like always in starve mode. When I am busy, I don't really get to eat breakfast a lot, and I may only eat like a small snack like midday, and then I'll end up eating dinner. So like where do like you kind of begin if you're trying to like really get healthier?
I know for me, being prepared, taking that a little bit of time, um, if it's on the weekend, whatever it is, and sort of prepping some stuff and having it available. I know with what I do, that's part of what I do. The products that we sell and use make that much easier, okay? Because they are grab and go kind of things, okay, to help you get to your goals and learn as you're going there. But really, it is a matter of just taking some of that time. It was funny. I heard an analogy the other day, and it's involved in a book that I've been reading. It's about the parking brake. And they're driving down the road and they've got their parking brake on, and the car's not going anywhere, and they're pressing harder on the accelerator, trying to get the car to go. And the girl says, "Your parking brake's on. Go over and release it." "I don't have time." Well, if she would release it, she'd get there. The analogy is, take that little bit of time, stop and take that half an hour on Saturday, Sunday, earlier, get up a half hour earlier, wherever you can kind of stick those things, and just prep a few things. Some of those nuts in a bag, having you know, Denise said about reading labels. That's huge. Okay. Because a lot of the things that are out there that say, okay, there's, I'm not going to pick one, but there's a yogurt that says it's a 000. Well, if you actually read it, it's loaded with carbs. Okay. So it's and not as high in protein. So you're looking for things that are maybe higher in protein, lower in carbs in order to do that. So having some of those things available that you can grab, but it's really important to do those little things. Like I said, every couple hours to keep your body out of that. That's my takeaway. Denise, please.
So you're not off base. Like it does require a little bit of effort. I do like, sometimes I'll make some overnight oats just so when I wake up in the morning, I am going to have to take it with me. You know, it just depends on what is easy for you and what you, it has to first be something that you would eat, right? You can't force stuff into you that you don't like, because then it becomes like medicine. So find something that's easy for you to eat. If you happen to like plain yogurt and you want to throw some fruit in it and put it in a little container and take it with you, that's, if you're not really, I have many people who just say, I don't like eating breakfast. You just want a little something to get you going in the morning. If that something is something high in protein, Wendy is absolutely right. Getting some protein in your system is great. A couple of hard-boiled eggs would be really nice to take with you. They may not smell the greatest in the car, but you know, they're fine. A little cheese, string cheese packets are good. Those are quick and easy. So just find stuff that you can, that's portable, or pack yourself a little, you know, a little lunchbox that has some stuff in it if you're on the go out there. But you just can find some things that are, again, finding things that you like and finding ways to incorporate those fruits and vegetables into your day, and some protein. Nuts are a good choice if your body can handle them.
Okay. So bottom line, me and Denise need to go shopping.
Anytime, Kiana, anytime.
So yes, I'm gonna need some help. I do. I actually was diagnosed with, I have high blood pressure now. Jesus. So I'm trying to get myself together, because I want to be here at 90, and you know, having high blood pressure is a factor in contributing to people not being here. I want to be here. So yes, I'm gonna get it together.
Yeah, I have high blood pressure. I do, and I also have
Who's
diabetes.
speaking?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, who, I was just asking, who's talking?
This is GOK.
Oh, okay, hey, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Because I have high blood pressure, I have diabetes, and it's I'm definitely looking for ways to monitor my high blood pressure. I just turned 43, and I also have sleep apnea. I definitely don't want to die young like Reggie White, and I understand what you're saying, Keon. You know, because you know, I definitely know I don't want to go out so young like some people in my family on both sides.
Yeah.
And I look to monitor my H1C too.
Yeah, one of the top things to help your blood pressure is definitely following a lower salt diet. So really reading those labels, you're trying to stay under 2,000 milligrams a day.
And watch your sugar too.
Right. Well, you want to watch your total carbohydrates, but when you're looking at the salt, you're looking at the sodium content, you're trying to stay under 2,000 milligrams a day, which is a little less than a teaspoon of salt for the whole day. You want to really find those things that to flavor that food with lower salt to kind of help you, and increase your intake of foods that are high in potassium is helpful.
Yes. Thank you.
So what other questions do we have? Excuse me.
I think that's something, this is Kiana again, because my mother, she stays, like, she's a diabetic and she has high blood pressure too. And she stays, you know, whenever she gets like blood work done, they always tell her that her potassium is low. So I've always wondered like what that connection is. So I'm glad you mentioned that. So I'm taking notes. Well, it's good. I'll be the one writing that blog, so I gotta take my
That's it. That's it.
I will say the one other thing about feeding your stomach those fruits and vegetables that are good for you and getting your protein is that there is a gut-brain connection. So I always attribute it to, like, if you're feeling excited, what do you feel? Your excitement is up here, but your stomach does what? It gets that fluttery feeling, right? If you're nervous, you get that fluttery feeling. So what you feed your body really affects how your brain works and how your mood might be, how we feel, whether we're sluggish or whether we're energetic. All of that comes from the food choices that we make. So we really want to treat our bodies with care and try to give it the best nutrition possible. And again, it's not 100% of the time, it's maybe 80% of the time, because we have to make it a lifestyle that works for us.
All right.
So this is Chris. I hear both of you talk a lot about the emphasis on the difference between a lifestyle and a diet. And of course, being around, your health coaching, Mom, I hear that a lot when you're talking to people, but I wonder if you both could speak to why is that so important to make that distinction between a lifestyle and a diet, especially if you're going into something like that first with goals to, let's say, lose weight, but then you've eventually reached your goals. What happens then?
I'll say from my point, I think a diet has a start and an end. A lifestyle is exactly that. It is a lifestyle. It is permanent. Okay. And our health, our physical health starts with our mental health. And if we are, a lot of us will refer to ourselves as emotional eaters, and we need to figure out why we do that. What is, what's built into that. A lot of it is about, family. We celebrate this and we celebrate that, and it's about the food that we have when we do those things. And it's learning how to bring a healthy mindset into those things, in order to not be overeating or under eating or grabbing at the wrong things. And we need to come into it with those types of things in order to make those long-term lifestyle adjustments. So it's not a diet. It's and like I say, we've got to work on those things, and there's different ways to do that. There's self-help books, there's a nutritionist, a coach, all kinds of different ways to go about that. But you've got to come into it with the right mindset, or it's just a diet with a start date and an end date. So.
I mean, I completely agree with you, Wendy. It is, you're going to be eating over your lifetime. And if you don't take care of your body, big, small, size does not matter. That does not determine your health. Your health is determined by how you feel, your blood pressure, your cholesterol numbers. Those numbers will determine how well you're going to age, right? And all the things that we do. If you said it best, Wendy, if you have a diet, there's a start and an end. You really just want to keep treating your body like you would your best friend. You want to take good care of it, so it will take good care of you as you age. So that's really the goal.
All right, Wayne, you've raised your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just thought I would offer some input, things that has helped me out. I'm still working on the nutrition end of it. And I believe, having a certain type of friend base, that is also motivated, and that was helpful, because if you have friends that are probably not, eating the way you're looking to eat when you go out, it can definitely, alter your goals. But also having an accountability partner helps too, especially if you're going to the gym. That's extremely helpful, and it helped me over the year to help me lose about 50 pounds.
I agree. Having somebody to help you and join with you a support group is always great. I always worry though, like when people talk about, hey, I'm on this diet or something like that, then you have everybody sort of watching what you eat. So don't feel bad about, the choices that you make may not be the choices that everybody else makes, but we don't all have to do the same thing, right? You just have to know that what you're picking is good for you. I agree though, when you go out to eat with people and you all want to share food, you want to share the better things that you're picking and bringing to the table. So I like that, Wayne. Thank you for sharing that.
Any others?
Okay, so this is Kiana again. So how does one kind of kick off their like fitness journey, like in this process?
All right, Kiana. So my suggestion is first find something you like to do, right? You can't, if you don't enjoy, what do you enjoy doing? Let's start with that.
So I don't mind, I like the wheelchair yoga, and we had someone like last month do like adaptive fitness, and when I mean like I broke a sweat and it was a work day, so I really needed a nap afterwards because she really like gave us like it was a great workout, and I'm like I gotta go back for those classes. But sometimes I have a gym membership, but sometimes it is a little not like intimidating, but I'm not a big like gym like person. So, I have my like little weights at home, and I try to do like little stuff like here, but like sometimes it's hard. So I'm trying to figure out a good like starting place.
So I am going to say weights are a wonderful thing. If you can learn to embrace those and get more comfortable going to the gym and even splurging on a trainer for a couple of sessions, the heavier those weights are, the more muscle you will build, the better you will feel. Just strength wise, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get your body. And like Wendy said, you're going to need that protein to help with gaining that strength, but finding those things you enjoy and then making a commitment to yourself and saying, I'm going to start this week, twice a week, I'm going to do that, right? Once you start doing it a little more and you continue to gain that feeling of feeling good for yourself, you can just continue and maybe whatever fits into your lifestyle and increase it to 3 times a week. Just getting into the habit of it will make you feel better.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to echo what Denise said, and the fact that it's the habits. It's habits for anything. Chris and I were talking here the other day. People get out of the habit. For us, we go to church every Sunday, and for a period of time when we were between churches, it took us getting back into that habit. So it is making those. And I know that you have some weight loss goals, and one of the things that just absolutely floored me was that for every pound that we lose or gain is anywhere from 3 to 5 pounds of pressure on joints. So I will say, as you're start slowly, okay, so you don't injure, because a lot of people will jump in full force and they'll create injuries, which is, so go at it with things that you love to do, like Denise is saying, but like I said, caution it, because you want to be able to not have that kind of pressure on joints and stuff like that all the time too.
Okay, thank you.
There's some messages in the chat. Susan, could you do us a favor for the recording and read those in the chat? I think there's one was a resource and one was a question. And then Chia, I see your hands raised. I'll come to you in a second.
Oh, thank you. My hand is up.
Yep, I see you. Susan or Kiana?
I can.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So someone said, gosh, it is so hard to keep doing the weights. I have them in my house. I do feel good afterwards, but getting started is hard. I need a better incentive.
Ooh, let's talk about incentives. That's a good question with whether it's, health goals of any kind, uh, you know, healthy lifestyle with food or exercise or whatever. Um, how do we keep those goals in check? How do we stay disciplined? Let's just speak to that.
Denise said for me to get started, we're taking turns, it looks like. So I know for me, the accountability piece is huge. Whether it be, I think Wayne said having some friends that you have accountable to you. Again, whether you go with a trainer, whatever it is, you choose to do, but having that accountability piece of somebody who, pardon me, is going to call you out, not just, cheer you on, not just say, hey, we're going to be there at 6 a.m. Somebody's going to get, hey, get your butt out of bed. It's those people. Okay. Cheerleaders are great, but sometimes, like I said, we refer to ourselves as coaches. And if you think about like a football coach or something like that, it's somebody who's going to call you out on your stuff. And, there's times when you need those key people in your lives also.
I completely agree. Having I work out with my best friend because I need somebody to do it with. And you can even if you guys do it via Zoom with a video and you're committing to doing it together so that you're having somebody that's going to do those weights with you and you both feel good at the end. It doesn't have to be where you go somewhere, but it is nice to be around people and do like a class. It's just whatever works for you, find it. And the reward is in how you feel, right? You have to hold on and continue to chase that feeling of, I did this for myself. I am better for today and I'm going to be better for tomorrow, right? You keep looking towards the future. I want to be 80 years old and lifting weights. That's my goal. So that's what I want to continue to do.
Wonderful. All right, we got one more in the chat. It's from Misty. She says, hey, Kiana, this is a great gym trainer resource. Spirit Club. I plan to go there and maybe get a trainer too. Yeah.
All right.
Great, Misty.
Cool. Chia.
You okay? Yes, you okay, Hassan? Thanks.
Hey.
I have a question for Wendy and for Denise. I put also. I was working out. Is it now? You know the reason why people are getting back into working out now and going back into gyms. Hello?
Yeah, can you repeat the
Hello?
question? I don't think, yeah, you're here.
You
I
realize
didn't
that
understand the end of the question.
Do you realize the reason why people are getting back in the gyms 4 years later?
Why they are getting back in the gym or why they're not?
Yes. Why they
I mean,
are,
yeah,
or both.
yeah, people are getting back in the gyms now and stuff like that. Now that things with COVID have changed up and people are comfortable being out, and gyms have changed up. I think a lot of their cleaning processes and things along those lines. But the gyms are definitely back to being way busier.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, because I was going to the gym before that at Planet Fitness, and I also go swimming also at the Y in Randallstown. You ever gone into anybody belong to the YMCA? Hello?
Mm-hmm.
No?
No, I don't. There's not one near me.
No.
Yeah.
Well, there is one, and they work with people with disabilities also. That's another thing also. And that's one that you can walk around for free. I was going there on Telco to Planet Fitness over at the Plaza, but I'm now looking into getting back into that. I have a red exercise bike I have here, and now getting, slowly but surely getting back into that. And I also have another question. Does anybody fast during like a holy month? Hello?
Yes.
I don't. I'm
Yeah.
not a firm believer in the fasting and that. It's things I have learned through what I do. I tend to, like I said, I lean into eating every 2.5 to 3 hours, and that doesn't particularly work well for fasting.
But I mean, if it is part of your religion, like to fast for Ramadan or something like that, I completely understand.
Well, if you're sick, you don't have to do it, like me. Well, see, I have to
Yeah.
have food on my stomach. That's the thing. But I fast from other things.
Somebody asked, and I think one of you started answering the question. Somebody asked in the chat, good question about fasting. Is it healthy?
So there are studies that show that intermittent fasting can be helpful for people with diabetes. I think the challenge with it is really to get the proper nutrition in that compressed amount of time. And so some people think of intermittent fasting and they're like, well, I can eat anything I want in those 8 hours or whatever your fasting window is. It is definitely not something you want to do without some supervision and some guidance, because you really can lack some nutrients and maybe create some other issues. But they have had some studies show that it can be beneficial for some people with diabetes. But yeah, it's something you really want to talk to a doctor or a dietitian about before embarking on a journey like that.
All right, so we got about 5 more minutes for any last questions for Wendy and Denise. Wayne, go ahead.
I did have a question for, I guess it was your mom. The eating multiple times per day, again, everybody's different. For me, what's worked after working out is eating a large meal and then pretty much intermittent fasting until the next day. Is that not healthy, or is there any issues that could happen with that? I mean, because if I'm not hungry, I'm not going to eat. So should I force myself to eat, or just like water intake? Like if you're not thirsty, should you force yourself to drink? Because they say you should have like a gallon of water a day.
For me, if you're having, a large meal, I guess because of how I kind of coach and what I do recommend like smaller meals instead of like that, and smaller nutritionally balanced things throughout the day. I do eat up until I go to bed, and I'm not talking, when we're talking eat, I don't mean, a whole big serving of dinner or anything along those lines. It's small, like I said, small nutritionally balanced, so where it has the carbs and protein mixed in together. We talked cheese sticks earlier, low sodium cheese sticks, low fat cheese sticks, things along those lines. A little bit of protein, a little bit of a fruit. It's really in serving sizes. So that's how, like I said, how I do it. And definitely the water, getting your water intake is important. Caution on that side too. And Denise, you speak into this too, please, but watch having too much water. And the fact that when you get into, like, I've had some people come to me, they're drinking, 130, 140 ounces of water a day. You can actually start diluting medications. Okay. So there's a line in there also to be a little cautious with.
You are correct. So I'm going to answer your question as well, Wayne. I will start by saying, if eating a large meal after you work out, and you're working out at night, I'm assuming is what you're saying, yes?
No, actually, I work out usually from 1 to 2:30 in the afternoon, and then I'll eat like 3:30 to 4:30. That's my window, and then I'll don't do it till the next day.
Around what time are you starting your next meal?
The next day, it was actually working for like about a month where I was just eating that one meal and then it would last me for the next day, the whole cycle. So I was doing intermittent fasting, but I was doing it even more because I just wasn't hungry.
Yeah, you're probably, so what you're going to end up doing is your body, if you don't feed it enough protein and your other nutrition that you need, if you don't give it enough calories, it actually will begin to break down your muscle mass and your adipose tissue. And so you begin to not be able to gain strength when you're trying to work out. You may lose weight, but you're going to be losing muscle, and that's critical to like your overall health. So you're probably not getting in enough nutrition. You're going to want to sneak in some other meals in there. And it's fine if you want to compress it in a certain window, but you just need to make sure you're getting enough calories. And Wendy's right. If you're drinking only water and it's large quantities, you can actually make your sodium level go too low. So you want to, you know, get a good amount of water. You can use the pee test, see if your urine is really dark, if you're like really thirsty, those kind of things. Your urine should be kind of a pale yellowish color. It doesn't have to be absolutely clear, but kind of a pale yellowy color, and you're going enough times throughout the day. If you're only peeing once a day, you're going to be dehydrated. It's just a good sign. So definitely some things to think about.
Okay, so we're going to say thanks, Wayne.
Can you also put water with juice also?
The question was, could you add juice to water?
I usually recommending
Yeah.
adding a splash of juice just to get some flavor, but I'd rather you throw in some like frozen fruit in there and mush it in.
Frozen fruit? Did you say frozen fruit?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
All right, Mom, thoughts?
All right.
Okay, I'm going to say one more question. Any? All right, then I'll ask for both of you. How do we, and we'll put this in the recap on the blog. How do we get in touch with you to learn more about what you talked about, what you do, and how we can maybe consult with you going forward?
So unfortunately, I do not do outpatient nutrition therapy. I only do inpatient. So
Okay.
I can give you resources for dietitians outside. So in the real world, and I will let Wendy go next.
Chris, you want me to give my email address and
Sure,
all
I'll
that?
put
Or are
it in
you
the
going to post it?
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, well, I can do that. I mean, you can reach me via email, which Chris is going to put in the chat. I can give it to you guys. It is the letters UR Healthy Vision @gmail.com. My cell phone, which is pretty much with me all the time, is 410-984-4369. And I'm very active on social media, on
What is
Facebook.
it again?
My phone is
What is it again?
410-984-4369. Chris just put all that in the chat. And like I said, I'm very active on social media under my full name, which is Wendy Cox, COX Messersmith.
All right. And actually, if you go back, speaking of that Facebook link, if you go back to the email that you got with the registration, you'll also find that link to the Facebook page. So you can So you can search for the Facebook. And you can also then see from Denise in the chat some resources there. So, all right. Well, thank you, everybody. This has been a great conversation about nutrition, a very important topic. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you to everybody who participated. We have some exciting plans for what's coming up in the next couple months with our Image Wellness series. So stay tuned to all of the Image Center's social media and our blog for more information on that, and as well as the recap that will be coming up in a couple weeks that Kiana will write, including the recording of this event and all of the information. So thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank
And
you.
thanks, Denise and Wendy.
Thank you.
Thank you.